Hello and welcome to episode 62 with
Hi
two-time
guys.
Olympia qualified Danny Theo. Oh my goodness, girlfriend, we are just so freaking happy for you right now. We are so excited. We have been rooting for you the whole way. What a world.
Thank you.
What a world.
Oh, so proud of you.
Thank you so
proud.
much, guys. Obviously, we've been talking the whole time through, but yeah, what a journey, what a prep, what a year. Yeah, it was I'm still coming down from it. Obviously, I've only been back for a week. Trying to I'm a bit overwhelmed with it all. Still, but really, really happy and excited, obviously, to for the next months coming up. Olympian number 2.
Like,
I know, 2 times Olympia. It's just amazing. And you look so well.
It's really, for me, this time it feels different because last year, obviously, it was my first qualification, and I was just over the moon just to be qualified, and I felt like a newbie, and I'm just excited to be there. And this time I just feel like I'm more experienced. I know what I want to do and what I want to bring. And as you guys know, each show we do, especially on a pro level, that we get to compete overseas and we get to be judged and get feedback from Olympian judges. You get more of an idea of where you actually stand and what you need to work on, what you need to improve. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next few months.
It's I remember we were talking, I think it might have been back in March, just before I was flying out and Rose flying out to the Triple O. And I think you were just kind of starting
Prep. Yeah.
prep, right? And we had a bit of a talk, and you're like, oh, I don't know, the body's just not doing what it's normally supposed to be doing. And you were finding it quite challenging there. And I think we had a conversation.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to give it till the weekend, and if the cheese falls off the cracker, I'm just gonna slide.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I've been on and off prep for the last 3 years, without an actual decent break. Other than the recovery phase that is 2-3 month phase between shows, in between prep. Sorry.
Yeah.
So this time, I feel like since the Olympia, because we got my body to a level that we hadn't before, conditioning wise, it was too much for wellness, but for my body, I felt it. It took me longer to recover, and I feel like I burnt out a little bit. So starting the prep, I wasn't feeling ready. It was actually, I wasn't meant to start prep that early. We had planned for later shows. And then I don't know, I had planned to travel as well because I had to go to FIBO for my sponsors. So there were a lot of things going on. And then Matt, my coach, just came up with the idea to jump into a show that was 12 weeks away. And I thought at the start we were joking about it. We were like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's, we were kind of joking. I was like, are you actually being serious? He's like, yeah. I was like,
Oh, no.
okay. I didn't even process it. Next day we started prep.
Oh, wow.
And we went hard straight away because we didn't have a long time. And I had never done such a short prep before. I usually do 18 weeks, 20 weeks, so 12 weeks was quite a short prep, and I still had the same amount of weight to drop as I normally have when I do 20-week preps, so it felt
no easing into it. No easing into it.
It felt quite rushed. I wasn't sure at the start. I wasn't sure if it's a good idea. Then I was like, let's do it. Matt was insisting on doing these shows because his thought process was, if we manage to qualify by May, June, then you get a couple of months of break before we go for the Olympia prep. Whereas the shows I had planned, I'd have to go, I'm going to have a break if I qualified.
Yeah.
So that was his thought process, which made sense as long as I qualified, you know.
It was like, I have to qualify now. Like, it has to happen.
Yeah, otherwise I would have to keep going until I get it. I mean, to be honest, guys, if I didn't win the Italy show, I would have probably done one more, and then that would have been it. I couldn't keep going, just, you know, and being overseas for so long, as you know, we're not next door to the show, so it's not easy.
Plus, there's a lot of money that's involved as well. I mean, you're representing Greece over there, and you've got an incredible amount of support from your team overseas as well. And you've got some great people here in Australia also helping you out. But it's a different world over there. The currency's, you know, different. There's things that, you know, you just don't budget for, and then they just happen, you know, like, and you have to, you know, like, and
there's things that you don't budget for. That's so true.
I think we're the only professional sport in the world that actually don't get paid. Like, you know, in terms of like,
I mean, we're lucky to get our expenses covered if we win, you know what I mean? If we win and we get like a, you know, couple $1,000 or
I'm still trying to cash my wins in. No one in Australia does checks anymore, so we have to wait until I go back over to America to cash the checks.
Wells Fargo, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I know.
I'm sitting there going, geez, like, decent amount of money if you convert it to Australian dollars. Like, it's a couple of grand. And I'm like, you know, that'll buy something for my new house.
all the next ticket.
And I walked into the back with my check, and they're like, oh no, we stopped checks in COVID in 2019, and we just never brought them back. And I'm like,
it's actually ridiculous. I had the same problem last year, but I was lucky. The promoter of the shows I did last year, they were happy to just transfer it via PayPal. So
amazing.
That might be
you could actually contact them and ask them.
Oh, there you go. There's a tip for anyone from Australia who wins some prize money. Contact
I think that's really good. That is a good tip as well. If you do this, and let's say it's like on a Saturday, right? And you fly out on a Sunday, you know, they all use that Fargo Wells one. You don't necessarily have time to cash in, because most are going to be closed.
Ooh, like that's the last thing you would want to do. I just go and eat. That's all I want to do.
I care about. You know what? That money is the last thing on our minds right now. We just want to eat and drink water and just, you know,
everything else to wait.
Ice cream or something.
To be honest, I actually forgot about it until I moved, and then I said to Rose, I'm like, hey, you know those checks that I won at the Tri-Cities?
You still got them? Didn't you cash them?
I know. Australia, funny country.
Very, very.
So you decided to go to Europe this year to get your qualification. What was the decision around that? And maybe let's talk about those 3 shows that you did.
So first of all, there was a personal family reason I wanted to do Europe this year, because my grandpa has been really sick. So I thought, you know, if it'd be an opportunity for me to visit and see them again, because, you know, our grandparents, they get older when they live overseas. And with my shows now, when they're in Europe, when they're in the States, like, how many times a year can I actually travel? If I had to go to the Olympia as well, if my shows were in the States, I would actually not be able to go to Europe as well and see them. So that was my thought process from last year. I had in my mind that I want to do Europe next year. Now, I happen to end up going to Europe twice because I hadn't planned for the trip for FIBO with my sponsors, which was great. So I went to see my
I went to see
my family twice within the space of 2 months. So it was great.
Good.
Awesome.
And like,
And I really needed it, to be honest. It was especially the first trip with FIBO that I wasn't so deep in prep and so like, you know, focused on the shows. I actually really relaxed, and I feel like that's when my body started going.
Isn't that funny?
it was like
As soon as
Yeah.
stress goes, your body just starts to respond, and
Yeah, even though I won't lie to you, it was a tiring trip because I flew to Europe, to Greece, then I flew to Germany, then back to Greece, then back to Australia, and I had to go to Athens a couple times to meet my sponsors as well. So I was going back and forth, but just being in, you know, with my family and being able to see my grandpa, it just, you know, it made me feel a lot more peaceful.
he would have
And
absolutely loved that too. And, you know, be so proud that his granddaughter is representing his country overseas as well. Like, it's just, I think, you know, like, it's something that you've done for, like, you know, one day, you know, none of us are getting out of here alive, but, you know, he's going to have that memory with him right into the afterlife, you know? And so for that matter. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, it was a difficult, I think for me, I won't say that I don't know if it was a good idea to do the European shows or a bad idea. I think it's a good thing to expose yourself everywhere and just get seen, you know, both in the States and in Europe. So from a strategic point of view, I think it was a good thing. Now, was it harder for me that I hadn't done any shows? I mean, my pro debut was in Europe, but I wasn't really known at the time. You know, no one really knew who I was. So this time I felt like
Prague or something, wasn't
I
it?
did Prague. Yeah, I did Prague.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did all right at the time, but it was like my last Olympia. I had no expectations at my pro debut. You know, I didn't know what I was going for. So
like your body's changed so much from then. Like I remember that show and I was like, fuck, she's incredible. And you're like, that was my worst look ever.
Yeah, I think, you know what, I feel like every show we do, we look back at the last one and we're like, fuck, I looked shit last show. And then the next show you look at the last one and you just think the same, like, because every time we try to improve at least. And it's just funny, like I look at my Olympia look now, not that I wasn't happy with it, I was really happy with it, but now I see why they placed me where they placed me. You know what I mean? Now I've got a better understanding of the criteria, what they're looking for.
Let's talk about that while we're there. We're gonna come back to the shows later, but let's talk about that, because we were off air before saying we're starting to see things change again. You know, even though the criteria that's on the Pro League page hasn't changed. That's as it is, but what they're awarding now, you know, have changed. And we've definitely seen it. I mean, I think bikini is pretty much consistent, but in wellness and figure, there's changes.
Yeah, and that's I would say for me, it was actually a blessing that I didn't win my first or my second show, because I feel like we, as you know, living in Australia, we don't get the chance to do a lot of shows and get feedback and see what they actually reward in person.
Well, we
don't.
I feel no shows. There's no pro shows.
There's no shows.
So
I feel like last year, because I went and won the first show that I had planned, and then I didn't do the other two. I didn't get a proper understanding of what. And like we said before, you know, you're as good as your competition. Sometimes what they reward the winner does not necessarily mean that is what they're actually looking for, you know. So I feel like my last year's package, it was a very good package. I loved my package at Chicago, don't get me wrong, but looking back now, it's not exactly what they want, conditioning wise, for wellness. Now I happen to be the best on the day and I won, you know. So when I went to the Olympia and there was another 25 girls there at a higher level, bringing that conditioning, even more conditioned actually, placed me 12th. So now my first show in Poland, we still came a bit softer, listening to, like, taking the feedback on from the Olympia, but it was still a little bit hard. and not as full as they wanted it to be. So coming to my next show, Emperor, I brought, I would say, my best package. That was my favorite package at the Emperor, and my feedback was pretty good.
That was I was watching that live, and that was one hell of a pose off. Like literally, it could have gone.
Yeah,
It was. I think it was just a matter of preference. It could have gone either way.
it could have gone either way, I think. Yeah, I could have gone either way. Now, the good thing about that is I got the opportunity to get judged by Tyler Manning. So this is why I wanted to go for that particular show.
Yes.
Because I thought I'll get feedback from him. He will be judging the Olympia. So whatever he says is what I'm going to try and bring for the Olympia, you know?
Talk to us.
So
what did he say? I mean, well, you got to kind of be you know,
yeah,
you're giving feedback. Yeah.
he said it was a close call, but he said he wanted me to adjust my side poses for my physique, to suit me a little bit, like change my foot placement a little bit. Because for my height, I've got long legs and a long and shorter torso.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to kind of like be a little bit more front on rather than side on. And try to come in a little bit tighter in the midsection. So that was it. He didn't mention anything about getting bigger or. Now we've discussed with Matt how to sometimes you just get feedback. This is what they see and they give you feedback, but how you translate it for your physique. Now for my physique, we know that means I need more size because as you know, the last 3 weeks before that show, I was trying to fill my physique out.
Yes.
So we were feeding me a lot every single day. Because these girls are big, they're actually pretty big and they come in really full. We were trying to match the fullness, and sometimes when you don't have the density these girls have to match that fullness, you kind of have to sacrifice a little bit of detail.
Yeah.
You know,
I know that feeling.
So
we had the same problem with Rose at Triple O. So yeah.
So like if there's more size, there's more actual density, I wouldn't have to like carb up that heavily. I'd be able to keep my midsection a little bit tighter. That's our thought process anyway. That's what we want to try and do, because it was more for my glutes, actually trying to fill out the glutes.
Yeah.
And keep them full, because as the day goes by, personally my glutes flatten out. The rest of my physique doesn't. If anything, the rest of my physique fills out, but my glutes flatten out. I don't know why.
It's interesting. I think it's a girl thing. All of us girls do when we're backstage. Like we're just looking at the detail on our legs or our glutes at the start of the day. I'm like, fuck yeah, you know. And then as you know, you do one round of posing, and then you're like, oh shit. And then you go.
And that's the other thing with pro shows. We have pre-judging, we have finals. You know, by the end of the day, you're cooked.
And it's almost like, you know, and I think I just got something then, you know, it's almost like you need to condition your body to get used to that format. So these people, these girls that are competing overseas, they get to do all these pro shows quite frequently.
Yes.
Bodies are becoming posing conditioned for that situation, which is why.
And the stress itself, you know,
you're building
the stress of the actual day, you know. I think the more you do it, obviously you get better at it, but you know, like it takes a toll on your body. Like I remember the last show, especially I did in Italy, my pre-judging was 7:30 p.m., you know, so I was there all day. By the time I stepped on stage for pre-judging, I was like, just get me off of the stage. I'm over it already, you know, like, because the shows get delayed. You never know how the day's gonna go.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah,
it's just you have to be prepared for the worst.
Yeah. Expect the best, be prepared for the worst. But yeah, definitely the more you're out there, and this is why I think the judges are like, do as, you know, many shows as you can to get the experience.
Of course.
Because there's
another thing, as you know, is like the more shows you do, they get to know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you step on stage, you're like, oh, that's Danai. You know, it's different when a girl they've never seen before steps on stage. and they've got another girl that they've seen 100 times next to her, it doesn't matter if it's really close. The chances of the girl that is not well known winning are lower.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely. And
At least that's how I feel. That's what I think.
I think that's our experience as well. And it is what it is at the end of the day. And, I think one of the things that you highlighted when you mentioned, Tyler's feedback, and one thing that I picked up was actually what it came down to. Like, we're not talking a massive changes here. It was like a foot positioning and a little bit tighter abs, like a little sprinkle. That's it,
Yeah,
so close to.
We knew it was close because they at that show they actually did a top 2 call out, which shows that for them they usually don't do a top 2 call out unless it's quite close for the first and second.
They want another look at you both, just by side
yeah,
by side.
just the two. So I was happy with that. I was going into that show not expecting to win. I knew who I was up against. And the whole lineup was pretty good, to be honest. And it was a big lineup. We were 23 girls, I think.
Yeah, we were watching. It was crazy. I was like, oh damn, like these judges got a hard job.
It was a big show. To be honest, it was one of the best shows I've competed in. We even had a gym backstage to pump up. It was actually a great production. If you if it wasn't so hot in Spain, it'd be great because the backstage was an open area and we had like a roller door that was open. So when we were trying to pump up, like all the heat was coming in and I was dripping. I was just so sweaty.
Oh no.
That it was kind of ruining my makeup and my hair and my tan. I was like, I either pump up really well or I ruin my makeup. Like I have to pick,
So do you find that backstage you run hot? Because I run hot, but Rose runs cold. So she needs a sauna backstage. She'd probably
I swear to God, I'm gonna take myself a little portable heater next time. I get so goddamn cold. It is unbelievable. She'll be burning up and I'll be like, I'm so freezing. I can't. I've got no veins.
I personally, I think I run hot.
I run hot as well. Yeah.
I wish.
I was also in like 35 degrees. Like it's summer in Europe now, so it was pretty hot. But I think I run hot on stage. There's the nerves, the adrenaline, everything. It just makes me, yeah.
It's good. Trust me, it's better than being cold.
No, I think it's the opposite because you sweat. When you sweat, you ruin your tan, your hair, your makeup.
Like you just can't get any vascularity going. It's hard to pump up because you're just like, oh, I can't move.
But isn't the criteria not vascularity?
That is true, yeah.
Best of both worlds. You just need to get the right temperature.
Oh goodness, that's crazy. Okay, so what are 3 of the biggest things that you have learned in this prep, in like this part of this, season before you head into the O?
In terms of like physique or mindset or
the whole package, the whole package. So like going into the show, your experience, what you think about your body, your mindset, 3 things that you're like, oh, you know what, that they were like, real breakthroughs for me.
Real lessons or breakthroughs.
Okay. Number 1, that's actually very important. That I realized this time. I brought my absolute best physique, best package at the show that I had no expectation to win. Or I wasn't putting the pressure on myself to win because I actually was not expecting to win. Obviously, I was going there trying to win, like doing my best to win. But in my head, I was like, I know I'm probably going for second or top 3 anyway. So I brought my best physique because I didn't have that pressure. I wasn't putting that pressure on myself. Don't get me wrong, I was happy with all my packages and they all represent something for me. But the other two shows, I was putting more pressure on myself. In Italy, I was putting pressure on myself because I was like, I don't want to have to do another one. I want to win that one and go home,
Yeah.
and just rest. So I was feeling a little bit more pressure to win, to do well. And at the first one, as being my first one, I was just going there with that mindset. I'm going there to win. So yeah, I think that's a very important thing for me, to stop putting so much pressure on myself, even though like little amount of pressure is good, but when it takes over and it controls you, it kind of like ruins your whole experience as well.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, so that was my main thing that I want to take from these prep and these shows.
Yeah.
Physically, I mean, shows, the better. I used to think I want to go do one show and try to qualify for that one so I can go rest and focus on my next prep. I think it's actually the best thing to do as many as you can. Like I said, get more feedback, see what they reward, understand yourself what they want. Because sometimes just asking for feedback, the judges don't always know how to explain what they see or how to explain what they want you to improve on, unless you've got someone like Tyler Manu that knows exactly how, what you need to improve on. But there's judges that I've asked for feedback before that they've actually confused me more than actually helped me, so I think going do as many shows as you can to see it for yourself and see what they are looking for, and go for big shows that there's high competition, because that's when you actually see what they truly want from each division. If you go for shows that are small, the winner may not even be what they go for. So sometimes you may get the wrong impression because you'd be like, oh, that person won, so this is what I need to bring my next show. But that may not be the case, because that was a little show and the winner wasn't even, the level wasn't really that high. So for me, that was the best thing, going for shows, the shows that I did, that they were all, packed and really good level athletes. That was very good for me. Like, I feel like now I'm going to the Olympia knowing exactly what I need to do, to go to the direction, not saying that I will definitely bring what they want, but I'll be heading closer to that.
Yeah.
Like my
You're
head is
more
more
on the
fully,
same page with them
yeah,
now,
have more of an understanding. And obviously the more shows you do, the more times you pick your physique, you get more of an idea of how to pick your physique better, for your coach as well. What look is better for you, what approach is better for you. So yeah, I think sometimes we just have to, pay our dues.
Yes.
Like we say.
I agree. I do agree. Do your time, but you've got
Yeah,
you're only 27 years old, right? So you've got
28. Yeah.
28. All right.
And I mean, really, too, like when you say you have had a very rapid rise, really, like of a very successful and rise to the top. I mean, you're second time Olympia qualified now, and that's just phenomenal, especially at that age. And that just, a huge future ahead for you. Like the sky's the limit, really.
That's
I want to say something
Yeah.
about that, because I think it's quite important, because a lot of the time people think, don't put all your, like in one basket. And I think this is where people get it wrong. For me, in my head, I've had this vision that I want to do that. I want to try be the best I can be. And I haven't had an alternative, a plan B in my life. So because I haven't had a plan B, I've put all my focus and all my energy onto that. And I feel this is why I've done well, and I keep improving. Like, I feel I keep getting better at it because I really focus on that. And that comes with, obviously, sacrificing other things in other areas of my life, obviously. And some people don't want that, which is fine. But I'm not a really big fan of balance. I don't think balance is you know, like people preach balance. I don't think
Yeah,
balance
look,
is
I have a theory about that. I mean, look, I think the truly successful people in this world,
exactly. Yeah.
they cannot be balanced. They
No.
have to
They swing.
be dedicated. They swing exactly, and they place the dedication where it
Exactly.
needs to
I
be.
feel like any
Um,
any big goal requires that. You know, you
Yeah.
cannot have balance in your life if you have a really tough high goal, you know. So
yeah, I
Yeah,
yeah.
I
agree.
was saying it's like everything in moderation, even moderation. So, or even balance, everything
Yes.
balance, like
Yeah,
even balance. So it's, you might, indicate and pull over every now and then to have the moderation, right?
Yeah, there's a time
Catch
and
your breath,
place. Yeah.
and then off you go again. And then what do? We hit, the top of the mountain in
Yeah.
whatever respect that is, and then we do a 180, and then we pig out for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like same train. It's like anything
That's what I
goes,
mean. Bodybuilders and
right?
balance is not it.
yeah,
Um,
that's all right.
But
Especially
and
not in
then
off
and then we
season,
come back
but
to recovery. So I
yeah,
think if
yeah.
you look at the scope of it, like the big scope of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, we are, putting all our eggs in one basket. Most cases, extreme dedication to
Yeah.
what we actually do. It doesn't mean it's in absence of those other things, but we don't, our ratios are different, like,
Exactly. Our ratios are different. And also another thing is, you know, what balance looks for everyone, that's also different, you know, like
mm,
what I consider balance is not what you consider balance, you know, or
yeah,
what my
exactly.
mom
yeah,
considers balance. You know, for
and
me,
it's a
balance is being able to put a little bit of sauce on my rice, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, look, and like obviously it's allowed you to have achieved like that high level.
Yeah.
And it reminds me so much of actually when we were speaking to Sid Gillen. She was talking in very much the same way as you. She doesn't have a plan B. This is her life and this is what she does. This is her sport, her career,
Mhm.
everything rolled into one. So of course the dedication level is just like massively high, because that's where she is putting all of her eggs, and look at the success that she has enabled through that. Not a, and now she's what I love about Sid too is that she also then gives back to the sport in huge ways, and
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
you remind me of that sort of that mindset,
Mm.
just what you were saying. It's like, yeah, that's exactly the mindset that Sid has, and it's what you have to be at the top of this sport, I think, in particular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Mm.
It's look, it takes a lot of like, let's be honest, it takes all your whole day, especially when you're in prep. Um
Yeah.
it takes so much of your life. Everything is based around that.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I have to say, like, I don't know, respect for you guys. I don't know how you do it, having like a family, like a kid. I could not even imagine, you know, doing it at that level if I had to look after someone else, or you know, the 3 weeks I spent in Greece, the last 3 weeks that I was there,
Mm.
that I didn't have to look after anyone, but I had to like be present, kind of thing, where when I'm in that kind of like zone, I don't even like, I'm just quiet. I'm
Mm.
not antisocial. I'm just quiet. I just want to be in my own
Get it. We
space.
get it. I
Yeah.
think it,
Um,
I think it kind of comes down to, and like we admire what you do. I'm like, fuck, the
Oh
10 hours
yeah.
of bloody training a day and all that,
Yeah.
like capacity. Look, okay, give yourself 10 years, woman, right? So what are you now? 28. Okay. So get to the other end, right? Like where, I'm 43. You're coming on 43 now soon too.
Very soon I'll be
Um,
with you.
and I've been doing this sport for a very long time, and I can tell you the capacity does change. One of the things that I've learned is how to do things smarter, right? But at the
yeah,
start of my career in bodybuilding, it was like throwing everything in. It was really extreme. There was like fuck all balance at all. Whereas now, and it's not because I like balance. It's because I have to have balance because
Of course,
my body responds when I don't, and they're the cards that God's given me. Like, mate, here's your cards. This is your mess, Lisa. Make it your message. So work it out. And I'm like,
yeah,
how do
yeah.
I play this chess game?
Very, very true. I mean, yeah, of course. I think what I meant by that was I could not, like, the last 3 years I've been on and off prep like nonstop. I wouldn't be able to do that. If I had, even if I had a partner, I don't think I'd be able to be traveling like 3 times a year, be away 5 weeks at it each time, you know, pretty much like 15 weeks a year away.
Yeah.
It's
It
a
is.
selfish,
Yeah,
it's a selfish sport, and especially living that
Yes.
far away from the shows makes it even more demanding.
We just need to get more pro shows here in Australia. That's what we need. We need pro shows in Australia. So if any
Yes.
other promoters are out there listening to this right now, can we please get some pro shows to Australia? It's been 5 years now, so it's about bloody time.
Oh,
I
yes,
know.
please.
We want to
It's actually-
compete. Us pro athletes want to compete on our home turf
Soil.
with our families watching us. And you know what? If you can run a pro show in Vietnam and Kazakhstan and West Bumfuck somewhere else over the world, in a population, and I'm going to say it, of 28 or 26 million people, right? We have not one pro show.
And we're all going broke trying to get over there and compete.
Exactly. We're getting broke. We're losing a lot of athletes. And, you know, this is my passion. Call it my nemesis if you want it. It's the thing that's really, and I know there's things that are in place, you know, and I know that there's roadblocks for, you know, certain promoters to get it to happening, but fucking make it happen, you know, like merge with other promoters. Let's get
honestly, I don't know why there is no shows here. I don't understand. There's shows everywhere in countries that you have never even heard before. You know,
I know.
I've been looking at I've literally been going through the list and going, wow, I can't believe there's a show there and there's not one in Australia.
Guys, in Spain, where I competed, there's like 10 pro shows a year in Alicante. Like, it's crazy. We just want one.
Population 500,000, and you had 20.
Give us one pro show a year.
One with all the categories would be even better. Not like, oh, we can only do one and we can't have figure and we can't have you know, anything else. So
I just think it's time that we spoke up about that, because I've had enough, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you're watching your bank account go down and, you know, and like especially for someone like, you know, Lisa got really amazing feedback at those shows. Now, ideally, it'd be great for her to be on the circuit, out seeing what she can achieve. And, you know, that like we're in the reality of it is that how can we afford, she's a single mum. How do you afford that?
Like, because when I travel, Kai travels, so everything is double.
Of course, exactly, yeah.
And then when Rose competes,
and she will travel for me as well,
and then pay for Kai.
That's another thing, you know, because when as athletes compete overseas, we can't have our coaches with us. Like, we can't expect from our coaches to spend $5, $6, $7, $8, $10,000 to follow
100%
to our shows.
My luck when Lisa did. Like, I couldn't believe my luck, and I feel so terrible. Like, I feel like I need to pay her back, because I mean, having your coach there is just like, it's so valuable.
Of course, yeah.
So you know what, promoters, IFBB Pro League, Australia and the world, let's get a pro show here to Australia. Let's make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
We can make it happen, you know, like, I know there's a lot of people that would love to contribute to it and get it together, but, you know, it's definitely something that does need to happen, you know. Understand the first few years and, you know, what happened with COVID.
Totally
really screwed, like we were screwed hard. Fair enough, but it's 2024, second half, and we still have not heard a single word about a pro show in this country. It needs to happen.
And we've got some amazing athletes. I mean, look at the amount of athletes from here that are placing over in America.
And
I mean, look at you, Tanay. I mean, 2 times Olympia qualified, and you've never competed in a pro show on your own home soil. Like, oh, or did you do one? Was there
Well,
one?
technically, Greece is her home soil, but this is her
Well,
adopted
that's right. I
country.
mean, but in her
But
adopted
you know
land.
what? Like, imagine, we could potentially be bringing a better package if we didn't have to travel so much, and we didn't have all that stress on our bodies and the time zone difference and the weather, the season difference. Like for me, I was exhausted just from all the travel.
Oh,
For
yeah.
Oh
Spain,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
literally arrived the day before I arrived Friday night in Spain and I was competing Sunday morning. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like my body, like wasn't
Yeah.
100% fresh when I was
Mm.
traveling all day.
Yeah.
No.
But it is what it is,
There
right
are
now,
cards that we're
unfortunately.
dealing with right now. But yeah, things need a change. I'd like to see a change. And I think it's
Yeah,
people, us as the athletes who are suffering,
of course.
need to speak up, because between Rose and myself, we spent $70,000
Yeah.
getting overseas, right? And would I want to go back and compete in the second half of this year? Ideally, yes, but no, I can't.
Yeah.
We have to get back to
Of
build
course.
up, and then obviously Kai got sick and there was other things that were going on, and life happens and you have to prioritize. But imagine having $70,000 between the two of us in our accounts. Like, I would sponsor a pro show here. I would be able to, it'd be cheaper for me to give money
Oh,
For a show
through the
here, yeah.
promoters in this
100%.
country to have a
Yeah.
pro show in this country, right? So we can compete in it and have the opportunity then
I
pay the 70K and
remember
go
this
overseas.
this is a true story. I remember us figure girls at one point in time had a group chat going, and we were saying that we would pay whatever the sanction fee was to include figure. We would raise the cash ourselves. That's how desperate we are.
Honestly, we would do a GoFundMe page, whatever it is. There'd be people that would get behind us, so that, and I'm sure the other categories as well, so we could have that opportunity here.
Yeah, of course.
I think
Even though I don't think that would be necessary. We
No.
just need, promoters and a couple of big sponsors and a couple of big names, and I think it would be, it would just need someone to do the beginning of it, and then I'm sure it will grow. When we had the Arnold, there were athletes from
the Arnold
overseas
was
coming to
amazing.
compete. The Arnold was we always had big names coming to compete here. They will come.
Yeah. Oh,
It just
Oh,
has to be a good big show.
we spoke
Yeah.
to so many people overseas, as probably you
yes.
would have, and they're like,
They
we
want to
totally-
come here. They love Australia and they love Australian people. They want to come here badly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's make it happen. All right, let's do it. So now the road to the O, and not only that, but it's the 60th.
The 60th, yes.
So what a great show to be doing, because it's obviously going to go off with a bang, pardon the pun, and it's in Vegas.
It's in Vegas, yes, which
be
I
great.
love.
Yeah.
I went to Vegas 2 years ago to watch the Olympia after my pro debut. I went to Vegas to watch it, and I said to myself, I'm going to go watch it. And I was going to envision, I want to manifest it, so I went to watch. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a party person. I don't like partying. I don't drink. In Vegas, I partied, I drank, I got drunk. I had the best time of my
Like
life.
a hangover.
So I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go back. I love Vegas. So I'm really, really excited to go to this Olympia for so many different reasons.
Yay.
Well,
Yeah.
we all have to go compete together somewhere one of these days, okay?
Yes.
Like circuit and end up at the Olympia.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be
I'd love to
amazing.
come. I'd love to come watch you. I wish I could.
I know. It's like it's so close, because you got Ben Weider in November, and it's I think September. Is it September or October, the Olympia?
When it's end of
Got a
October.
little fly. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to hand signal to anyone, but there's a fly that just will not go away. So I'm sorry if you see my hands going
No,
everywhere.
that's okay.
It's the new posing.
I know. I'm so bloody little thing. Yeah. Sorry.
What do you expect to see at the Olympia this year in terms of the physiques that you know of the wellness girls on stage? Because we talked earlier a little bit about how it's kind of evolving, and I'd love to get feedback on what you see is happening.
From my understanding, they are starting to push out the freaky look that they perhaps rewarded a couple of years ago. I don't think that they go for that freaky look anymore. The massive, like vascular, peeled. They want more of a feminine, full, round, physique. Obviously, you still need to be very lean, but different. They want to separate the divisions. They don't want to see wellness girls with figure conditioning. They go really big with the fullness. From what I've noticed, like it was for me going to the last 3 shows, and I saw how full the girls that were rewarding were. If you asked me last year, I'd say that's off. That's off, but now that I get an understanding, they go for a really full look. They want full muscles, round muscle bellies,
That doesn't mean that you're not lean. It just means you don't have that graininess.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, they just fill out a lot. Obviously, they don't get as shredded as physique and figure, but still very lean. I think just fill out, carb up harder.
Yeah.
Just soften up with a carb up.
Yeah. I actually, I've been looking at the girls as well and what they've been awarding, and I think it was at the New York Pro, Giselle. She she's an Amazon woman. This girl, like she's Holy Mary, Mother and Joseph, and like she's quite tall as well. And I think there was a couple of other girls in her lineup that were like real shredded, but she had this full kind of round look, almost like, I almost thought maybe a little bit too thick in the middle, like just like not that, not that tightness, that crisp tightness that you're looking at. And I think that's what you were saying about before, that it's a really fine line. You want to fill up, but you want to keep that midsection really tight, so it's a tight thing.
I personally find it very hard to nail the wellness look, because they want, like, it's so easy to spill, and it's also so easy to not come in full and come in flatter and flatten out even more as the day goes. So I find it really, really hard, and you have to fail a few times till you actually get it right. I still don't feel like we've nailed it 100%. I feel like we're getting closer each show we do, but we're coming up with more ideas of what to try next, to make it better. But yeah, if you see what Giselle, the show she won, the New York Pro, she was up against with Elisa. Sorry. The weekend before, Elisa beat her at the Pittsburgh Pro, because Elisa came in too lean at the New York Pro.
Yes. Yep.
And Giselle was a little bit too soft at the Pittsburgh.
Just a
little. So it's like, little different changes can actually change the results.
And just to get this right, when you hear the word soft, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're fat, or that it could be the water that's under the skin, for example, right?
It could be you spilled a little bit, you overdid the carb up, or sometimes being flat makes you look soft, so soft is, like I said, sometimes the judges will say you were a bit soft. They don't tell you why you were soft. Why you were soft. You know what you've done and you were soft, right? That's what I mean by sometimes the judges just tell you what they see. That doesn't necessarily translate as what needs to be improved.
You've got to analyze that.
So you have to analyze that.
Interpret that. that was a little
Yeah.
bit like us when we did the triple O, and interestingly enough, we did the okay. I'm like, Rose, we gotta fill up. So we started filling up at the airport with burgers and shit. And we're like, we're going for look. I'm like, pro debut, baby. Yeah, come on, let's go. And in the morning it was like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm still a little bit flat. And I think you were like we're kind of eating up. And you know, initially because I've never had a full look, neither have you, Rose, like that full look
No,
on
God, that's the
stage.
fullest I've ever looked. Yeah.
Yeah, same. That was the fullest, and we're like, all right, well, let's go with this. We've got to try it,
Yeah.
And we saw the other girls that were coming in that were there, and it was like it was this full look, right? And I said, we're lean enough to not look completely shit. And so let's give it a crack. So when we got the photos back, it was and I think when you're short as well, and you fill out a little bit too much, it's really hard to get that midsection to kind of suck in. And when you are short and you fill out, you've got to do it. It's almost like you get a front load and then pull yourself back at the other end so that tummy
Yeah.
to come in.
I think so too. I think so too. I mean, everyone's different. But for me, it does not like my worst fear is to wake up flat in
Yeah.
the morning of the show, because on the day I cannot afford to be eating up, because I lose my midsection.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest fear. I was telling Matt, especially at the last show, I'd rather wake up, because it was an evening show. I said to him, I'd rather wake up slightly, spilled and dry out as the day goes by, rather than wake up flat and then you have to feed me and
Yeah.
make me drink a bunch of fluid, and then my gut is up here,
Yeah.
So for me, I see some girls that eat backstage and their stomach is flat. I cannot do that.
Either.
The moment this opens,
Yeah, you're like, no,
the moment this
no.
opens, it goes. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so weird. I was like, it's very hard personally. I don't know about you guys, but it's very hard to pick my physique. Very, very hard.
Very hard.
Oh yeah, far
Very
And
out.
it comes down to not condition, the circumstances leading into that particular show as well. That plays a big part into how your body translate and the methods that you take. And sometimes it's hour by hour, it's like, okay.
Of course.
And that's
This
what
is why
every
I hate
Yeah.
evening shows, because I know obviously, even if you don't eat much, you still have to eat if it's an evening show. You still have to eat and drink. So I'm always scared, because I'm like, the moment I start eating and drinking, I start holding fluid in my midsection. I can't pull it in as much. It's not as tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and if I don't eat, I could happily fast. Don't get me wrong. I can do it, but I'll be flat.
Well, that was us at the Tri-Cities, wasn't it? Like, so
How do you stay full? Yeah.
we got told, like I was told that I needed to hold my condition. I was flattening out as the day was going on, or smoothing out, I think it was, as the day was going on. But then when I got my photo, I was like, I fucking loved my triple O look. I think it's my best look yet. It was really full, maybe not as detailed, but I loved it, right? And I just needed more ab control. But then we went to the Tri-Cities, triple O Tri-Cities. What's with number 3? And and we're like, all right, it's the chicken and fresh air diet this week. So we did for a week. We just like sucked it up. We didn't train. Honestly, we didn't even train that week. Nothing. I think we did 2 cardio sessions. I'm like, our bodies like to hold inflammation. As being older, being, like Rose being, a natural athlete as well. Low calories and, like a lot of training and being a little bit older, our body just like
they're not happy with that. They don't like it.
They don't kind of like that, I don't. Maybe one day you might start to understand where we're coming from. So we're like, we've got to choose: do we starve and not train, or do we train and eat a heap of food, and then risk really spilling over? But I think the look that we had for the Tri-Cities was also a really great look. It was a lot flatter, but it was a lot tighter and crispier. And I think we kind of like that because we come from the old school of bodybuilding where we're,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's
yeah,
but to get
Yeah.
if we looked at it,
But
we
there,
wanted to
you're
mix the
right.
two.
There is there's a difference now though. There's a real, they're really looking at that full muscle belly, those round muscle bellies, and then the skin sort of pulled tightly over it. Like, so
Yeah.
I get what
yeah.
you're saying, and
Look, I
yeah,
think you've got to try a few different things. And with Matt, we said we wanted to try. We really wanted to try. We wanted to try a dairy meal the night before, so that way I can afford to fast all day the next day. But Matt has this thing, and I don't disagree with it. But he doesn't want to try things that we haven't trialed. He
fair
didn't
enough.
want to put anything in my stomach that I haven't eaten before and not know how my stomach may. He's like, what if we get too sick and you're like, what if you feel unwell and you get bloated and you can't stomach it? He was just scared to try anything that we haven't trialed.
Yeah.
So this next prep, we said we're going to do a couple of different trials since we've got the time to and see how I respond to these things, because I think that might be the thing for me, because a dairy meal would keep you full from all the sodium and the fats and the carbs.
Well, that's what with Rose at the Ben Weeder, remember?
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
God, you
It was
couldn't
like
fill me up for Ben Weeder.
17
out.
fucking burgers.
Fuck me.
Space
Yeah.
of
That's
thing.
crazy.
And then we go to the Triple O, and there was a different circumstances. Rose, you had been like through the valley of the shadow of death and back again in that
Yeah.
one. Like there was a lot going on in your life. And the night before the show, we got home, it was late, and we're like, okay, we need our burgers. Well, we got our
And
burgers,
we were looking good, weren't we? We were looking good. We were
right?
like, you know what? We've got enough room to. We've got
Yeah.
wriggle
But
room
we got
here.
wiggle
can
room. It's
we can have
full.
a dirty meal. We can have a burger.
Well, we woke up the next morning and was like, there was something that wasn't right in those burgers.
Oh, see, that's
burgers
what
work.
Matt didn't. Yeah.
Burgers work for us, and we had been eating burgers that week as well.
Well,
No problems.
No
Everything was great.
problems. Yeah.
But that one burger that we got, because the other place had closed,
Yeah, the other
there
place
was
are closed.
something in the sauce, or there was something in it. Like if it was a clean thing, like clean
Do you
bar,
mean it made you sick?
No, it
just
didn't.
bloated, like
It just
thick.
made us softer.
Yeah.
I found it really hard the next day to control my stomach. I never
Yes.
have that issue on
Yeah,
stage.
that's
Never.
it. Me
Yeah,
too.
right.
Yeah.
Because
So it
when
didn't
I
digest well. Yeah.
yeah, and I sort of had
Oh,
this kind of
fuck.
film of water over my abs, but
Yeah,
which
see,
like,
that's what Matt didn't want.
yeah.
He was
So
worried
he was
about.
right.
And that's the thing. You have to know, you need to know the burger. It's not just, it has to be exactly the same. And if it's not exactly the same,
Yeah, I feel like it has to be a plain one, no
Yeah.
sauces, no like things
That's
like
it.
a
See,
That
patty.
Ben Weeder, that's
Yeah.
why that worked, because it was 100, like it was
the Wagyu beef.
organic beef. It was like you knew exactly what it was in it. It had no sauce or anything. It was just like cheese, meat, bread.
You know what? Next time it'd be easier to just make a
Make it.
burger, like buy a patty. There's still
Oh,
high
yeah.
sodium, like the pre-made ones, and just
Yeah.
put whatever you want in it. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but
We couldn't be effed, to be honest.
oh, you
That's
probably
why
didn't
girls
think
in
this
prep.
was going to happen. You didn't
Yeah.
think this was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Two
Yeah.
girls in prep and an 8-year-old. Halfway across the world, one prepping for her debut and the other one prepping her for her second show. So
Yeah, that was full on
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
it was
Yeah, they're full on. Honestly, I think, especially if you haven't done it before, and that was the thing with Matt. Even though I had tried to prepare him what the days are like at the pro shows, it was not what he was expecting. Like the days can run really slow and really they can be delayed. People are just backstage, like everyone's backstage, hair, makeup. Amateurs can be there, pros can be there at the same time. It's just full on. and yeah, it's not, it doesn't always go as planned. So I think you have to be prepared for things to not go as planned. So I think for people who do it for the first time, it can be quite overwhelming, you know. But
Oh God, yeah.
Well, you know what? I think you know, it's we got to get behind our girl, right? You know, so one thing that I do want to mention is, and I think everyone here in Australia and also back home in your homeland in Greece will say that you're one of the most authentic human beings that we've ever come across.
No, I know.
Inside and
Such
out
a gorgeous girl.
spectrum. You like, you know, you're quiet, but you know, you do your thing and you're very respectful and you're a great ambassador to the sport. And you're the best athlete, professional athlete in Australia at the moment. I know you're not Australian, but you're the best in this country at the moment. And you know, I think that people really need to rally up and get behind you because, you know, you're not just representing Greece, but you're representing everyone here that's supporting you.
of course, I'm representing both countries.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, Greece is my home, but you know, like, Australia is where this started for me. Australia has given me the opportunity to, you know, be where I am now. So I think I represent both countries equally. And I just wish there were more shows here.
Oh,
I
yes.
just wish Australia wasn't that far. That's all. But yes, I love both countries, and you know, I think if I wasn't here, I wouldn't have done any of that. You know, I wouldn't even have studied bodybuilding in the first place. So I do, you know, appreciate.
You'd be still walking on the treadmill trying to get skinny.
Yeah, I'd be on the Stairmaster.
Well,
I'd be 40 kilos on the
Australia
Stairmaster,
loves you
eating
too.
lettuce.
Yeah, sorry, Stairmaster.
Yeah. But Australia
Yeah,
loves
yeah.
you too, and you're such a popular athlete. You've got such a huge following, and you're so well respected, and it's because you have that work ethic. I mean, you talk about your training on your page as well. It's really informative, your page, and interactive. So like, everyone, check out her page because you'll learn a lot. You'll actually learn
Not
about
only
training
that,
and
if you're looking for a wellness coach as well, Danai's the girl to go to. You know, like, she knows her shit when it comes to posing, prepping. You know, I think people automatically want to go for the most popular coach, or the one that's got, you know, the most amount of athletes that are up on stage. But one thing that you need to understand is that the coaches that are quiet, that are the ones behind the scenes, that might still be, you know, actively competing as well. You've got active, relevant intel right now. You're there. So you know what they want. What some of the other judges maybe in this country, or the coaches as well, they're not relevant because they haven't been over there. They might get told, but they actually haven't been there. And there's that.
Yeah, it's a different thing, as you were saying before.
You know what I see a lot? One thing that I see a lot with a lot of coaches, not need to name, you know, I'm just saying in general. One thing that is, for me, speaking from an athlete's perspective, one thing that I feel most coaches lack, especially the ones that are not competing, right? Because the ones, usually the big coaches that are really focused on coaching only, they don't compete. They just have knowledge in terms of, you know, like diet and training and biomechanics and, you know, biology and all that stuff.
And if they've got that, they're good.
Which is great, you know, but what they're lacking, which is very important, and me as an athlete, I probably need that just as much as I need the, you know, the diet advice and the training advice, is understanding the psychology an athlete is in, especially during prep. The way the coach speaks to you can make a big difference. You know, the way the way your coach talks to you on the day, or that, you know, when you're 1 week out, or when you're traveling and you're exhausted, and or when you're having those low days, you know, and you're doubting yourself, or, you know, when you really need to push hard and you're, you know, in that negative kind of mindset and a miserable kind of whinging mindset. You know, I feel like a lot of coaches lack that, and they don't have the empathy. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's a good thing to have someone that is a little bit tough on you, but there is a time and place for everything.
It
And
comes down to managing. Do you
yeah,
know how to manage your athletes?
exactly. And I feel like sometimes from an athlete's perspective only, this is what I feel like with my clients, this is my number one priority, because I want my girls to feel like they're understood, that they're heard, that they're cared for, and you know that I feel like this is what creates the bond with a coach, and you feel like I can trust this coach, you know, I can trust this person with my, you know, my whole being, you know, my
Yeah.
whole, not
Implicitly.
just my body, you know, this person is going to look after me. Because like sometimes I do feel like I want my coach to know when I need them to pull me up and say, no, you go fucking do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I want them to know when I need them to lift me up.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes.
something most coaches lack, or not necessarily lack, but all the coaches that are so busy, when you have 3, 4, 500 people to take care of, you
Coach.
cannot do that.
Yeah.
And
You
this is
know?
the thing. If you want to be serious in the sport of bodybuilding as well, you've got to look at that coach's capacity too, and how present they are,
Exactly.
how much time they have to give with you, and what you want as an athlete. Do you want someone that's like in there in the trenches with you, or are you okay having someone that's there? But one thing that I learned is the higher you go in this sport, the more of that intricate, implicit, one-on-one coaching you.
Yes. I was about to say, a smart athlete that is a high level athlete and truly cares about their progress and the progress, like, you know, mentally and emotionally as well, they wouldn't go for a coach that has all the clients in the world. They would go for a coach that would be able to give them attention, you know, and would truly care for them. Because, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the busy coaches or the popular coaches don't care for their athletes. They do, but it's
The needs are
impossible.
different.
It's
Yeah.
just
You can't give
impossible.
them the level that they need. Yeah.
Like for me, I'm telling you, and I feel like I'm at the highest level it gets. I would never go to a coach that has 500 clients. I would never,
No.
like, because I'd be like, okay, how much, like, realistically,
Mm.
even if this coach prioritizes me because I'm like going for the Olympia or whatever, even if they prioritize me, realistically, how much time would they be able to give me?
Yeah.
100%.
And
Yeah.
that's one of the things as well that
Are they going to be able to see me in
Yeah.
person? Are they going to be able to, like, come to my show? Are they going to, you know, all these things, they matter. And if you, like, I feel like a lot of girls, especially in the beginning of their bodybuilding journey and competing, they get so like, they just go for people who have all the following or have all the, you know, like the popularity. They just get it all wrong, you
Oh
know?
God, the amount of times I've tried to say that to people, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so lucky I've got Lisa, and I'm like, that's the reason, because you know, you need a coach with, you know, an emotional IQ. If they don't
Yeah, and
have,
you need to be able to create that bond with your coach. Whereas
yeah,
when if you're with a coach that is so busy, what bond are you going to
you're
create?
not going
That
to,
person
no,
is not going to be able to create a bond with 500 people, you know?
no.
the elite coaches that are, you know, well, I won't even say elite, but the ones that do coach Olympians, they travel with their athlete. And you know what? Here's the thing, right? Most of them are running at a loss. They're not in it for the money.
Yeah.
They're not in it for the money when they're coaching those Olympians. I'll tell you right
Yeah.
now, right?
Yeah.
We know that.
Most of them don't even get paid from these
No.
these athletes to yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
when you look at the good coaches with the great athlete, yeah, you're so right. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, a lot of them,
They-
it's love job. It's a
And
love
if you
job.
see like those, the elite ones, you know, they actually are like father and daughter, or like father and son. Like that's how,
Yeah.
you
They're
know,
so, yeah, 100%.
because
It's
like
very,
what people don't get, like I trust someone with my, you know, like the bond you build with your coach is
Yeah.
different. It's like,
it is.
I want to say it's like your second
Partner
mom or
or
dad, you
dad
know?
or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You trust
yeah.
them fully with
They're
your
a
health.
mentor, they're a
Yeah,
confidant,
yeah,
they're everything rolled into one. Yeah.
of
And you're
course, yes.
trusting them. You've got to let your coach know when
You
you've got
rely on
stuff
them on
going
so many
on.
levels. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
see that with you, Danae, because you give your girls and your clients what you would expect from yourself.
What I would
100%.
want to get, yeah, what I want to get for myself. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, for
100%.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I think that now you're back. I know you've got 12 weeks and you're in the trenches, but I did hear that you have some openings as well for
Yeah.
Gen Pop and also wellness competitors and posing. So, if you're thinking about competing, you want to give yourself a good 12 months, with Danae to get yourself, building that relationship as well with her. But also you've got someone that is the best in the business, in this
100%.
industry for wellness, hands down.
Thank
That's
you.
it. Shut the door. Danae, thank you so much for coming on. We love you,
Thank
girl.
you for having me
You're like our
Thank you.
sister. We adore
again.
you.
We can talk for like hours and hours. Like the
Hours and
conversations
hours.
are endless.
That's it.
But
That's it.
we'll do that. We'll do another one to talk about more topics leading up to the O.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, definitely, and we've been chatting about this as well. And I was speaking to Tracy as well, I would love for, the five of us to get together and do a workshop for
Yeah.
girls in this country with athletes, professional athletes that are relevant, that are traveling, that have intel and insight. And I did speak to a couple of international Olympians already who said that they would love to kind of be dialed in on some of those sessions as well. So
Amazing.
that's something that we've got in the loop, obviously.
Yeah.
After everyone gets off stage off the Olympia on the other side of that. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for that because, girl, you're definitely going places and I can see a lot of
Yes.
people getting behind you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you.